Former President Donald Trump was in court yesterday facing 4 federal charges where he pleaded not guilty during his arraignment. I figured, why not bring in our good friend George Cosenza here to talk about all the legal proceedings going on with all these legal troubles mounting up for the former president.
The president really has his hands full. I mean, he really does, facing indictment in New York, one in Florida, now one in D.C., and maybe one in Georgia. He's got his hands full. This case in D.C., I think, is the most interesting.
Right.
Because it pits the First Amendment of our Constitution, the right to have free speech, against what the prosecutor is alleging in this case, that he took that free speech too far and tried to influence the outcome of the election when he was defeated by President Biden. So the issues in this case are massive, they're constitutional. I've heard people say that this trial, if it goes to trial, which it most likely will probably be the most important trial in American history. And I can see why people are saying that, because of what is at stake here. The government claiming almost that President Trump tried to commit an act of treason or sedition. And President Trump saying, I had every right to say what I did, to do what I did. I was within my legal bounds. Wow, what a colossal case this really is.
So in this case specifically, because obviously you mentioned, Georgia, there might be a case coming up. New York, there's been stuff going on. Florida, there's obviously stuff going on. In D.C., though, do you think, who has the advantage here? Do you think Trump might have the advantage going into this if it does turn into a trial? Or is it, the government?
I think the problem for President Trump in D.C. is going to be the jury pool. When he ran for president both times, D.C. overwhelmingly went Democratic. It is not a friendly place to him, and that's where all the jurors in this case are going to come from. He may, in fact, try to move it out of D.C. as part of the proceedings in the case. He's got to attack pretrial. He doesn't want to go to trial.
Right.
He wants to get this indictment dismissed if he can on constitutional grounds, and I think that's what his lawyers are going to be focused on, trying to get the judge to see that all he was doing was exercising his rights under the First Amendment, exercising his right to challenge the election. He did not go too far, and to stop this thing before it even gets to a jury, because I think that's where the government has an advantage in this case.
Okay, so I want to ask too, for the people that are out there watching, they might be wondering if he were to, let's say, go to trial for one of these cases, no matter what state it is, if he is found guilty in that case, what does that do to his GOP candidacy and presidential hopeful run for 2024?
Nothing. If he gets convicted of a felony, he can still run for president. He can still be elected president. The problem, though, if he gets convicted of this case in D.C., or even the case in Florida, the federal sentencing guidelines may mandate, and the court may feel, that he should not go free and that he should be sent to prison. And of course, that would be a very difficult thing for our country, not only for President Trump, but for our country to see either a sitting president or one who's running for president or a former president go to the penitentiary over crimes. It'd be a very difficult decision for the court, but to weigh in balance, are we going to let President Trump have an advantage over another person who might commit these same crimes and go to prison? Very, very difficult decision. I'm glad I wouldn't be the one to have to make it.
Absolutely. Now, George, before I let you go, is there anything else involving the former president here in his legal troubles that you would like to mention to the audience?
Again, I think he's probably going to be indicted in Georgia again. They seem to be getting ready. They're setting up security and barricades down there around the courthouse.
Right in Fulton County.
Yeah, right in Fulton County. So I think he's going to be facing that. And how difficult must it be for him to have to face 4 serious felony charges in 4 jurisdictions? He's not only facing those, he's got civil trials that he's also facing. So this poor guy has just got his hands full. He's paying legal fees, that are astronomical. A lot of pressure, and still trying to run for president at the same time. So this must be a very difficult time in his life and for his family. And it's a difficult time for our country to see this happen.
Absolutely, George. But thank you so much for joining me here on set.
Pleasure to be here.
It's always a pleasure to have you, and I hope we get to hang out again soon.
Me too.